Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
This week we will focus on the military active duty, those that have already served and now are retired. But we're going to begin the program talking about the Coast Guard station here in Depot Bay. With me is boatsman mate Bebo. I think I got that right, did I?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well, yes, sir. Very formal. I like that.
BM3 is fine.
BM3 is
as
fine.
well, or just Mark.
How long have you been in the Coast Guard?
I've been in the Coast Guard for 3 years now.
What brought you in?
So it was a strange question a friend posed to me. And I had thought about joining up active duty pretty early on. When I was 18, I nearly signed on to be a Marine. And then I said, I'll wait. And driving home one night, a friend of mine giving me a ride said, hey, you should join the Coast Guard. You should just enlist. And my reasons have, changed and shifted, but I'm glad to be of service above all. And I really enjoy the community that I find at each unit I go to. So it worked out, but it was really just that question my friend posed to me. He said, you should join.
Depot Bay is a small outpost, if you will, correct?
Yes, very, very small, I think.
Are there smaller, or is this medium size up and down the West Coast?
Oh, when it comes to the unit itself, I've heard that it's the smallest military base in the continental U.S. I have to think that's true.
And the mission, of course, is life-saving, is 90% of it, is it not?
I would say so. I don't know if I could put a hard percentage on it, but almost everything that we train and all of the operations is to assist or save lives. So, that must be true.
Talking about that training, we see from standing up on the bridge the Coast Guard vessels going to sea in all types of weather.
Yeah, we have to train to the highest capability of our boats here because this is a surf station, so it gets a special designation with especially qualified coxswains. So a coxswain is just another way of saying a boat driver, and it's pretty old English. So the surf coxswain is who can take the most capable boat into the absolute worst conditions. And those conditions exist pretty consistently on the Oregon coast, and especially out of Depot Bay, where the entrance is so narrow that obviously breaking surf can close it completely. So it's imperative that we have boat drivers that are really, really accustomed to being in that horrible state of winds howling, seas heaving. So that's why we train up to a pretty high level. It's a weird sensation to have been in so much bad weather and sort of gotten used to it.
How do you get used to that bad weather? That to me is amazing.
One thing, the risk never goes away. We are constantly vigilant, always aware of what we're putting ourselves or the crew through. But I'm not sure. You get to see it enough. There's no loss of thrill. It never gets dulled when we're going out there and it's screaming. One of the expressions we say is it's macking, or it's really crushing on the bar. So when you pull out of the bar and you see 20-foot swell just outside of the channel, and then on the reefs it's breaking huge, like buildings of water, and that's the only sound you hear. Even above the wind you can hear the white water screaming towards the rocks. You never really get used to that, but you get accustomed to it, and
I would have to debate that issue.
Yeah, that's always one thing that we push to do too. And one thing that sort of separates those really high-level boat drivers, the really motivated ones, from people that may just, be doing an excellent job anyways, but staying at a basic level, is they push to get out. And what any sane person might think of as a crappy situation is these boat drivers are like, we got to go out and train. It looks good. We get excited when we see bigger conditions. Even for my basic qualification, I'm excited now when I get to go out and train in upper limitations, because you also don't want to get to a level where you're qualified and you haven't trained up, and then you get the call for upper limitations. And when I say that, I mean just the numbers for sea state and for wind speed that we set for each coxswain qualification. So when you're in upper limitations, you could be just barely breaching, the extent of your skills or what you've trained to.
When you go through that hole, how many Coast Guard men and women are on board?
So the basic required crew is 4. Sometimes for transit, or if we're running a bare bones crew for some other special operation, we'll run 3 people, but it's always 4. And so when we run out the hole, if it is heavy weather, like we've been talking about, then we all wear heavy weather belts. We clip in to the boat itself, as well as having helmets on. So then you're pretty much, secure in your place. But then everybody's posted as lookouts too. And instead of looking out for waves that are, coming from way far out, they're looking at the sides of the channel and the range boards and the entrance, because that's the only, it's a very singular point.
Have you been on one of the boats that is actually rolled?
No. And people ask this all the time. It's very funny. That's something that we avoid like the plague. It doesn't, if a boat rolls, it's pretty much going hard down for maintenance. It's going to be taken out of service for a little while, because usually it's shallow water that creates waves that can roll boats like that. So that also means that all the antennas, the boat systems that are above the mast are going to get snapped off. Sometimes windshields have gotten broken in. There's a pretty noticeable weld job on one of the boats in the boathouse here where it actually got peeled up like a can from a wave hitting it. So we avoid that. And it's funny, we always get that question, because I think people see the video of a training exercise of a crane in a very controlled way rolling it, but I don't know if they ever trained knockdowns and rollovers. A knockdown would be on its side and not completely over, and then a rollover is a capsize 360.
We're going to bring you back at another time, and we're going to talk more about the Coast Guard station in Depot Bay, but we have been visiting with boatsman mate Bebo here in Depot Bay, and we will continue in just a moment.
Hey, it's Jesse Geller with the Beach Club and Event Center. Need a few more reasons to stop on by? We're now offering Taco Tuesdays and Italian Wednesdays. If you need a space to rent, we're your people. We're located at 2020 Northeast 22nd Street in Lincoln City.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service.
The Oregon National Guard alive and well in Lincoln County, and with me is Major Josh Santillo. Josh, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me.
National Guard in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Major mission would be what?
Well, we've got 2 of them. The National Guard has the national mission, which is wherever the big army sends us. Oregon went to Kosovo, Africa, Sinai Peninsula, and we're going back to, we're going back to Kosovo again in about 2 years. And then the state mission is where the governor sends us, which could be hospital mission. It could be wildfires, could be helping with the southern border. But fires is probably our biggest mission this time of year. It's starting up.
You're an attorney. That's going to be difficult for you to leave your practice to go fight fires or go to Kosovo.
Well, it's not terrible for me in particular. I'm the boss, and my boss gives me the time off when I need it. But a lot of folks do have a hard time. They're sacrificing a lot more than I am, to take time off from their day job to go do the military thing.
Now, you are a major. Your specialty in the service is?
Right now I'm a JAG. I started off as a combat engineer, and now I'm a JAG officer. That's the lawyer for the Army.
So, as a JAG officer, are we talking about the courtroom drama, or are we talking about what?
Yes, it's that exciting. No.
I just figured it as much.
Yeah, no, there's various different roles you can have. I've been a legal assistance attorney, which is basically like a legal aid shop, defense attorney, and then I was a prosecuting attorney. Those are for situations where soldiers get in trouble for things like doing drugs or being AWOL. And then I'm just finishing up being the brigade judge advocate. That means I'm advising the brigade commander, things like international law of armed conflict, rules of engagement, discipline issues, all sorts of things.
Why? Why Josh Santillo, a major in the Guard?
Why did I join? I wanted to serve my state and my country, and the Guard seemed like the best fit because you can do both. You can do the state mission, you can protect your friends and neighbors from natural disasters and things that are happening here, and when they need you, you can go overseas and do things for the country as well.
And frequently you have to go overseas? Infrequently? How often does that come upon?
So the Oregon Guard is in regular rotation with the big Army, and we get plugged into various deployments all over the world about every 5 years. About every 5 years, Oregon deploys overseas. We've been to, Iraq, we've been to Afghanistan, we've been to Africa, we've been to Kosovo. We go just about any place they need us.
You got 2 sons. How does the family react to Dad being gone for, month, 2 months, 3 months at a time?
Right. This weekend, I've got drill. It's only 2 days, so it's not that big a deal, right? I'm not missing a whole lot in 2 days. But last month I was gone for 21 days straight, so that was a bigger deal to them. Mm-hmm. They miss Dad, and I miss them. So the homecoming is good, but being away for 21 days straight wasn't fantastic. That puts a strain on the household and the relationships. So,
how much forewarning do you get before you're deployed?
So most of the time with an overseas deployment, we know a good year out. Mm-hmm. For domestic missions, like, say, the hospital mission, on the hospital mission, when we were assisting hospitals with COVID relief, we got called up on, I think, 72 hours notice. And wildfires are that way a lot of times as well. So domestic things, oftentimes you're called up with little to no notice. Overseas deployments, you usually know pretty well in advance.
So the domestic deployments that you picked up, that can come with a short notice?
Sure thing. If a forest fire starts today, we're going to be called up today. So it can be short notice.
What kind of training do you go through to prepare to become a firefighter versus a JAG officer?
Yeah, so for the fires missions, I haven't had to do the in-field fire training and fire suppression work, I guess. But you go to Camp Rylea, and they've got wild firefighters there that train you how to do stuff. A lot of what the Guard does is traffic control, keeping people from going into the area that's about to be swept up by fire.
So you have legal right to do that?
We do.
Okay.
We have the legal right to stand there and tell them, you shouldn't go down there. We're not going to tackle them and put them in handcuffs, but we will stand there and tell them they shouldn't go there. And most of the time, they respect that and say, yep, that's a good idea, and turn around and go the other way.
So how did you get into the Guard?
I joined the Louisiana Guard back when I was living in Louisiana.
Cajun?
Yeah. I was going to law school at Louisiana State University, joined the Louisiana Guard. I was a combat engineer for about 3.5 years. And then I moved to Oregon because I wanted to live out here. I just transferred from Louisiana to the Oregon Guard. That's one nice thing you can do in the Guard is you get to pick where you live. If you're in the regular Army, you were.
Been there, done that.
You live where they tell you you're going to live, whether that's Germany, Kansas, or Alaska. When you're in the Guard, you live where you want, and you can transfer to different states if you want to move. So it's pretty nice.
Are you guaranteed a position when you move from one state to another?
You're not guaranteed a position, but you line that up ahead of time. Like when I transferred from the Louisiana Guard to the Oregon Guard, I contacted the Oregon Guard ahead of time, talked to the people I needed to talk to, and line it all up.
How big is the Guard in Oregon?
Well, our brigade has about 2,000. Mm-hmm. And we got the Air Guard also. I think we have about 5,000 total.
So your headquarters is Salem?
It is. Joint Force Headquarters is in Salem.
Okay. Of the reasons to be in the Guard, what is the one that gives you the most angst, if you will, nervousness about being a member of the Guard? Or is there?
There isn't. I like it. I like it a lot.
Good.
There's not a lot of downside to it. You miss some holidays, you miss birthdays. Heck, I think we missed Father's Day this year. Yes, we did. We missed Father's Day this year. But, it happens.
And if I wanted to join the Guard, well, I'm too old now to join the Guard. But if
there's a waiver for everything. We can sign you up.
If somebody wanted to join the Guard, where do you go? What do you do?
Yeah, so if you know anyone in the Guard, talk to them. They can connect you to a recruiter. But ultimately, a recruiter is who you're going to want to talk to. And there's bonuses for a lot of different things right now. We do a lot of fun stuff. And you don't always have to do what you normally do. I happen to be a lawyer for the Army, and I'm a lawyer on the civilian side. But I didn't used to be. I used to be, a combat engineer in the Army. So you don't have to do an Army job that's just like your civilian job. You can do something completely different if you want to.
Major Josh Zantillo, Oregon National Guard, has been our guest. We'll continue in a minute.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lado with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries. Commander Robert Portwood, Lincoln City, better well known for all of the books in the world. But today we're going to talk about the American Legion Post. Commander, welcome.
Well, thank you. The American Legion is a service organization, and that's what we try and do. It's also a way for vets to connect with other vets, and oftentimes we just sit around and talk about our experiences in whatever service we were in. I personally was in the Army, but we've got members of just about every service except the Space Service. Haven't seen anybody from that yet. And not too many from the Coast Guard, but we welcome anybody who served, male or female, whichever service you were in.
You talked about it being a service club, but it is primarily for veterans to have a home, if you will. Would it not be?
True, and a lot of our emphasis is on supporting veterans. For example, we've had veterans coming in that their car fell apart, whatever, or they ran out of gas en route to somewhere else. We give them a gas card, or we help them get their car fixed, or we, whatever the problem may be, that's what we try to fix.
The American Legion Post raises money how?
Oh, we raise money any way we can. Like any of the other organizations around here, we do pass out poppies. That's a voluntary donation when we do. Once
we don't
a year.
charge for them.
We don't charge for them. We give poppies away. That's on November 11th, which is Armistice Day.
Memorial Day?
Memorial Day. It started out as Armistice Day before it was Memorial Day, as I remember, because it was originally for World War I, and then obviously we had to expand it because we kept fighting wars.
A lot of the guys that are members and gals that are members of the local American Legion Post are Vietnam-era vets, correct?
That's true. That's true. Ed Johan was a member of our post, a Pearl Harbor survivor, but we have a number of Vietnam vets. I personally didn't go over, but I served during that time period.
As I.
Yep. So whatever you did, you're welcome to join. And if you want, you can just come and check out the meeting. We meet the first Tuesday of each month at noon at Hillside Restaurant.
It's a very informal gathering, except for the opening and closing ceremonies.
Right, right. But anybody can attend. It's an open meeting. Again, you don't have to join if you just want to come and check it out, or you're welcome to join. We're always looking for more vets. We have a lot of veterans in this area, most of whom are retired, but not everyone. Having it at noon, even if you work, if you get a lunch break, come over and check it out.
A lot of veterans don't want to come out. Am I right?
Well, we have a lot of people who aren't joiners.
Okay.
Put it that way. And they never know what they're getting into. I joined, I won't say how many years ago, with my dad, who was also a vet. And we didn't attend every meeting, but he enjoyed going. He was very proud of his service. He was in Europe in World War II. And I was drafted. I was number 35 in Oregon's draft, so there was no doubt whether I was going in. And I went ahead and volunteered to get what I wanted to do. We got a mixture of people, different services, different backgrounds, men and women. It's kind of a nice bunch. It's a good group of people with a lot of different experiences.
You find a lot of sticking it to the other guy during the course of the meetings.
Yeah, well, after all, the Army is the basic service.
And then there's everybody else.
Auxiliary.
Got to have the Navy and the Air Force to give us a ride.
We let them in.
Yeah.
It's as long as they're subservient, it's okay. It works both ways, That's just part of a pretty easygoing camaraderie between us because we all have something in common.
The most visible part of the American Legion post in Lincoln City right now are all of the flags and the flagstone or representing Ed Johann.
That's right. As a matter of fact, we were instrumental in getting the Ed Johann Plaza dedicated, and thanks a large part to Roger here. We've got a set of flags that represent all the various branches of service, and hopefully before long we will also have a lighted American flag, which will be above those in the plaza. It's a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
It's also next to my store, which is handy.
It is a reflection of value, though, is it not, Bob?
It is. That kind of thing is important, particularly right now, because things are strange.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things left over from COVID, it changed things. It changed people's attitudes. And it's important to remember the things that are important in this country. The American Legion supports that and stands for it.
Now, we don't have an auxiliary. Some other posts do have auxiliaries.
That's
correct?
true, yes. If I remember correctly, the auxiliary was originally started for female vets,
mm-hmm.
but of course, the American Legion itself is open to either sex. And since I don't have any experience with the auxiliary, I couldn't tell you very much about it, other than that's my understanding. There is an active auxiliary I know over in the Valley.
The American Legion post in Newport has got a facility. The Lincoln City post does not.
Correct. They have a nice facility. Yes, I envy that. And a lot of the older posts got some kind of a location, a building, whatever, donated many years ago frequently. There was, who knows how they got them.
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
It would be nice to have a permanent location. We bounced around a bit trying to find one that works for all the members, something centrally located. And the Hilltop Restaurant, it does okay.
If somebody wanted to join the post, what do you do?
Come to a meeting is the easiest thing, first Tuesday of every month at noon. The other thing you could do is leave a message at my business, 541-994-4453. Call, leave your number, and I'll get back to you.
Commander Bob Portwood, the American Legion Post 97, Lincoln City. You're invited to help us help others. We'll be back in just a moment.
I'm Bruce Polby, reminding you to be prepared. We have a variety of life-saving go kits in stock at Lincoln City Sporting Goods, your electronic superstore in the heart of Lincoln City.
I'm Adina Zeller. Zellers is now in 2 North Lincoln County locations. The original Zellers in Rose Lodge and now Zellers in Lincoln City, formerly Maxwell's. Zellers with great family food and kickin' fun like our line dancing. Just wait until you try our homemade clam chowder.
And we certainly hope that you've enjoyed our salute to the armed forces today, the men and women of the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and of course all of the men and women that have worn the colors of their branch of service and our veterans now. Thanks to those that joined us and thanks to those that continue to serve. Lincoln City is actively in the process of trying to update their comprehensive plan. It's the vision for the city. It's important that you participate using public outreach, survey results, and previous visioning. The Planning Commission, Citizen Involvement Committee, is preparing drafts for the chapter of the plan. There's 4 chapters that will have final rough drafts, including housing, public facilities, and transportation. So get involved. It is your city. Do what you need to do to help our city survive and thrive. Coming up August 26-27 at Surf City and Sound Off at Chinook Winds Casino Resort. This is a major fundraiser for Angels Anonymous. It's the second largest fundraiser for Angels Anonymous. We invite you to go see all of the fancy cars. And I know it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy, but the Sound Off does produce a tremendous amount of income for Angels Anonymous. A different sound, probably a more pleasing sound, is the sound of the piano. It's the gala opening night for the Siletz Bay Music Festival, coming up on Friday, August 25. Reception at 6:30, performance at 7:30. Tickets for adults are $40, and tickets are on sale at siletzbaymusic.org. We did have Commander Robert Portwood on the podcast with us today, and again, we remind you that the Lincoln City Post 97 of the American Legion meets the first Tuesday of each month, high noon, at the Hilltop Inn, 1910 Northeast Highway 101. For more information and about attending the meeting, simply email amlegionlcor@gmail.com. And we do have some elections forthcoming. August 30 is the last day to file for the candidacy for the city of Lincoln City. If you are interested in participating and, again, helping our city thrive, get involved and run for city council. One of my favorite events of the entire year is Stuff-A-Bus, and Stuff-A-Bus takes place at Lincoln City Outlets. September 1, we'll be there from 8 until 6, receiving and handing out all of your goodies for the children of North Lincoln County. We invite you to help us help the kids. And Theater West of Lincoln City is on stage with a delightful comedy, Popcorn Falls. The play is on stage until September 9. There's lots of performances for you to attend and enjoy and laugh and have a good time. But again, Theater West on stage with Popcorn Falls. That will do it to the Dunes for the Double R Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share so you and your family and friends around the world and across the street can join us on the Double R Show. For Paul, I'm Roger. Have a happy day.
You've been listening to the Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For the Double R Show, I'm Jana Grahn.